So at that time, I did think Sammy the Bull was running that ecstasy ring because so many people were throwing his name at me.
So look, let's go there because look, I can remember we're just going, on a back a little bit, Shaun, and look, I always stay out of this controversy in that way. I don't make my name in the back of anyone. Very straight what it is, and but there's a lot of this stuff across social media. All these people said this, that, way, opinions, right? They're like buses. There'll be another one along in a minute, right? But there was some stuff there, some kind of friction about Sammy the Bull and all of this kind of stuff. But there's going to be now. You filmed a documentary here with a major platform, right? 100 million subscribers. When's it coming out, Shaun? When's it due?
It's coming out in August, and all those people who tricked Sammy the Bull into saying, Attwood's never met me, he's full of shit. I've never ever claimed to have met him. So that they set him up.
Well, if you haven't met the guy, you haven't met the guy. Yeah, you have. I mean, what is there, who cares really? What is the difference? This is what I can't get with some of this stuff. Where are these people in their own world? In their own that they spin this stuff. It's like nonsense. What's your own journey, your own life? It just shows me that people haven't got their own life or their own history or are not focused on what they should be focused on. Do you know what I mean, Shaun?
Those people are about to eat their friggin' words when they see this documentary that has cost major money to produce, where my mum thought 2 or 3 people were going to show up from America to film her, and there was like vans blocking traffic on our street for days. There was like 20 people at all times going in with my mum. So big production, they filmed me, my family. They filmed Sammy the Bull and his family members. They filmed Skinner. They filmed Marie. They filmed the cops on my case. So all those people who made this shit up about me, you're about to learn a thing or two, and it's rooted in insecurity and it's rooted in jealousy, envy.
Shaun, it is what it is. I mean, this one thing is, look, I always say, you can only be yourself. And you need to only be yourself. Because it's your life you're living. Why would you be interested in anyone else's or want to live anyone else's? It's nonsense, right? And you've got social media in the middle of it. It's like an illusion. It's like the hall of mirrors you go into, like at the fairground. Is this the real time? I'm not sure. What is that there? What does that look? It looks like, but it's not, right? This kind of stuff, right? Yeah. So I just want to put that out there to a bit of reality and a bit of clarity on a lot of this stuff that's bandied about. So look, we're going to look forward to that one coming out. I'll certainly watch that. So let's go on now. Look, I'm going to bring this one in, Shaun. Now, this is another one of your books here. Sit Down with Gangsters, right? Now, this is your 16th book, Shaun. Yeah. And anyone who knows anything about you, you've got a million subscribers on TikTok. You're pretty much 1 million on YouTube. You've been around a long time. You've done a lot of interviews with a lot of guys. On here we've got Ian McDonald, which I know very well. I was with him myself when I was away. Yeah, Bling, all of them guys, Mickey Ely, all of them, Paul Ferris, all of them, I know them all very well. I was away with them. Brings me back to the old days, right back to the old days. Johnny Adair, another one, right?
Chet.
Yeah. Is this Chet?
That's Chet.
Looks kind of like Johnny Adair there, doesn't it? I couldn't see the difference. Chet Sandhu, and our other friend down there, John A. Light, right? Yeah. Now look, all of these guys you've interviewed and much more, right? All the way through. Give us some more names that's in there, Shaun.
So,
who have we got?
We've got Shane Taylor, Johnny Light, Joey Barnett, Ian Blink McDonald, Chet Sandhu, John Lawson, David Macmillan, John Abbott, Michael Franzese, and Wildman.
Yeah, some names there. So look, here's some questions now. We're going to get hard and fast with it. Of all of these people, how many episodes have you done now on your YouTube channel?
So we've had the channel since 2007 and we've interviewed over 1,000 people.
1,000 people, guys, right. So we've got a real case study here going on, right? Definitely. So look, who's the most memorable, Shaun? One name. There's probably be a few, right? But I'm going to press you here. Who was the most memorable?
It's got to be the first one, Jamie Morgan Kane, which was the most viral.
Okay, why? Why was this the most memorable?
He is a mesmerising storyteller. So 44 years in a California prison for a crime he hadn't committed. Come on one day and there was a corpse in his living room. His wife's in a conspiracy with another female. They're up for the death penalty. And they say to Jamie, you're the man, you know, ex-military, biker. If you sign here and said you did it, we'll let them off death row. So he signs. They said they'll only give him 12, 13 years. Politics changed and he ended up doing 34. His wife got released and she dumped him immediately. Heartbreaking story. He was born on the Isle of Man, sold to an American family as a baby, didn't even know. So while he was in prison, he got told, you're getting deported back to the UK, where he didn't know anyone. So a charity called Prisoners Abroad got in touch with us and said, will you help this guy? And he's got 2 book deals with Mirror Books off the back of it. There was a huge trolling campaign against him, which caused mayhem in my life. A guy went against him, said he had done stolen valor, said he'd put, they ended up putting my home address, phone number, bank details, all my websites were hacked, all this stuff was online. This guy was connected to Blackwater. I thought I was going to get military snipers in my garden at any moment. It was mayhem for about a month. That's another thing that makes it memorable. But what happened was, you get these online lynch mobs. Jamie took all of his legal paperwork to Mirror Books, which has one of the biggest legal departments in the world.
The diligence, yeah.
They verified his story. So you get these, one guy says something about someone, it gets momentum online, and next thing, I'm a villain for giving this guy a platform, and our charity asked me to help this guy have a chance in life. These people are scum that go against these people. They need to look at their own insecurities. We took him to the Isle of Man. We spoke at the schools. He spoke at the prison. The people were loving him. There was a glow in his eyes, and it was his spiritual home. And he's moved from the south to Newcastle, and he's about to go over to the Isle of Man. He's just getting his legal papers sorted out. And that's what it's about. Stephen, you said earlier about helping people and the karmic destiny and duty we've got. So many wonderful people helped me when I got out of prison. And it's about sharing your platform and helping people bring that positive out of them.
Look, what you put out, you'll certainly get back, all right? You know, we know this.
Yeah.
So look, here's another one, right? Quick fire. Who is the most violent? Did you feel in your presence, as you thought, you know, and we've met many violent guys along the way, Shaun, who was the most memorable for you thought was the most violent?
One thing about violence in organised crime is that it's specific. So a guy owes money and he gets his knees broken, and you understand the logic behind it. So there's a level of violence that's far more frightening than that. And that's people who are psychotic. You could just get on a train one day, like we saw a couple of years ago, where the guy thought another guy was looking at him funny and ended up stabbing him to death in front of his son. You could get around a psychotic person. And one of the guys we interviewed is Shane Taylor. The podcast, it's called Knife Maniacs Redemption. You know, he went into a psychotic state whereby he was walking away from an altercation and people were running after him saying, you've stabbed that guy. And he was like, no, I haven't. And he looked down and he just had a knife handle. And the blade, I think, was left in the guy's skull. And even when he went to prison, he almost murdered some guards, and the guards almost murdered him. And he had to go through a huge epiphany of a religious nature and a redemption to become the man he is today. And shout out to Shane, man. Honestly, I'll never forget sitting down with you and how authentic you are and how emotional and passionate you are about being on the right track now and making amends, because you did request to talk to people you'd harmed, to reconcile with them and to apologize, and that's what makes you a true man.
Yeah, it's the real depth of that. And, you know, because look, guys, I'm telling you, and I say this all the time, you know, many stuff in my methodologies, right, that are out there, but life doesn't give us what we want, it gives us what we become. This is what I say. You think about that. And another thing I say is, look, we have to learn and build to become someone, but the true excellence is that we learn to become no one. Think about that too. This is closing the circle. Well, it's just some really, really small ones I'm going to put out there, right? Just let that sit and you think about that, right? So, yeah. So look, right, who is the most unique? Shaun, who is the most unique? But I'm sure they're all unique in their own way. But who really sticks out as the most unique story?
Oh my goodness, they are all unique. That's a very difficult question. I think Wildman's pattern of behaviour was particularly unique. No matter how insane and dangerous he went, I never ever felt threatened by him except for on one occasion.
Yeah.
I remember one of my bouncers, Rossetti, one of the Rossetti brothers, he was a big guy and I always used to tell him stories about Wildman. And he always used to think like, oh, he's got to be exaggerating this. And he said when Wildman arrived in America, he just picked him up, bear hugged him and then threw him around like a rag doll, just playfully. So me and Rossetti are in the front of a car, we're driving away from a rave, Wildman's in the back. And I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm looking at Wildman's eyes, and he's got this really peculiar, dangerous look in his eyes that I've never seen before. And I'm like, Peter, you all right, man? What's up with you? He's like, nothing, it's all good, La. He used to call me La.
La, yes.
I'm like,
the proper Scouse way.
I'm like, Peter, I could tell something's wrong. What's up with you? He's like, you guys are taking me out to the desert, aren't you? I'm like, Peter, I'm your best mate. What are you talking about? I know you guys are taking me out to the desert, aren't you? And for a few tense moments, I have a feeling he's going to do something. And years later, he did tell me what he was going to do. I don't know whether he had a knife on him or he was going to try and
go for it, right?
He was going to snap and murder us very quickly. But we did manage to calm him down. And again, like I said, violence, when it's structured by a criminal enterprise, you can understand it. Wildman, when he did commit violence, it was his own volition for his own jollies.
Yeah, it's a different kind of violence.
When he was a teenager, he would just go and fight the bouncers and they would beat the shit out of him and he would come to my house, black and blue, buzzing off it. And he had the red dots in his head telling him to hurt people from childhood. And the violence got the tension out of his system and calmed down his red dots.
So look, let me come.
That's unique, isn't it?
Look, absolutely, I get it, Shaun. Let me come back in there on the back of that rather wild man, because the last time, in the last interview we had a few years ago now, it was a really funny time. There was a lot of stuff going on, as there always is in your life. Wildman had just passed. It was a very emotional interview, and you can see that still on the channel, guys. If you want to go back, you want to see that one there. And so, I mean, it's been a while now, right? So how has things moved on from that, Shaun, where you are now? I mean, I know there's a lot. I see a lot of the stuff you're doing, like the documentary and all the other stuff. The book deals, the other stuff that you're doing. You've got Jen now. You've got a family. So a lot of positive stuff. So how has things gone on from that? Really, how has it been?
Things have been fantastic. They've just gone from strength to strength. I feel blessed. I've got 6 co-hosts. I've got 20 people working on the channel. Like I said, my 16th book just come out. Got this massive documentary with Gravano. But, most importantly, I've got a little son about to come out. And I feel bad because when I had a child in America, Stephen, I was irresponsible. I was on crystal meth. I was on ecstasy. I was partying with Wildman. And this is my chance now to make amends. I ended up going to prison, so I wasn't there for my child in America properly. We have made amends since. But when I think about, this little person's in her belly.
It's a big responsibility, big obligation, and a lot of work, as I was saying to you earlier. But look, Shaun, I really interview and really, there's different playlists that we do. We do short form, and of course at Raw Media Creative we make TV series. We've got one down there with Winhoff. It's going to LA. We've got a film as well and other stuff that we do here. So there's a lot going on. But I love it when I'm interviewing people with stories of resilience. I mean, real resilience. And you are certainly one of them, because I get it. And it's about the dark stuff. People want to hear that. We need to go there to find the solution, I always say. But for me, the real gems is, how do we get out of that? What do we learn from that? And how do we expedite the growth and protect and shield other people who may go down that same path so they can have a quality of life, so they can have an easier, safer, quicker route to their success, to their blessings, you know, to all the good stuff that is there for them. Because look, I always say, Shaun, you know, and I want people to think about this as well. It's really easy. You know, we can learn through trauma and pain, or we can learn through joy and inspiration. Which one would you like it to be, really? Really, you know, we all have to deal with stuff. So for me, translating wonderful stories of resilience like yours is a gift, you know, that goes outwards, right? And so, look, what's next for you now, apart from the documentary and the stuff that you're doing? Where is Shaun Attwood going now, you know? I know you're a crime journalist, you know, you're an author, you're a polished broadcaster now as well, right? And a father, of course, soon to be. Anytime now, you're going to get that. The bells are going to sing, right? So where are you going? Where are you going next? What's next for you?
I've just add a bit onto your resilience point, because people see us as successful, Stephen, and they think, "How have these guys done it? Lucky buggers, you know, this has happened overnight." And I know your slog. Until 4 years ago, I was living in my mate's bedroom where I lived for 10 years from when I got out of prison.
Yeah.
In that bedroom, working those hours, building up all my socials to get to this point. So my point for young people is pure hard work will override everything. People will get jealous. They'll try and trip you up on that way. You've just got to keep going. There was a book that our boss in the stock brokerage used to read to us, Rhinoceros Success. And he likened success as this rhino going through the jungle. And he's getting, skin's getting torn apart by the thorns and the branches of the trees. But the rhino just keeps going. And, you know, I've let people in my life who've double-crossed me and stuff like that. You just got to get used to that. It's part of human nature. Don't let that stop you. Use those people as inspirational fuel to keep going. And you'll get at the top of your game eventually. It's took me 10 years to get successful in anything, Stephen.
Look, it's so true. And look, you know, I've got my tour coming up, guys. For anyone who's interested, there's a lot of stuff out there. 2nd of September is the first date in London, Kingston. But just on the back of what you're saying about the rhinoceros, because I've got I call it the Serengeti speech, Shaun. You get the gist of it. But it's very well polished. And it is about, it's similar to that. This is my methodology about all the nature of strange beasts that you will come across, you know, navigating the Serengeti. Life, of course, is the Serengeti, right? Depends where you're going, who you meet, and how you navigate a sure path through these things. But one thing's for sure, Shaun, as you said, is, look, there's no substitute for hard work, tenacity, being open to learn. And yeah, they're going to throw rocks at you and they're going to hit you with sticks all the way through. And the more successful you get, the bigger and faster they throw the rocks, the bigger the sticks, right? But this is, you know, it's forging you for greatness, which is, you know, and you get to a point, guys, you won't even be like resentful or angry at these guys because you've become wise and you've learned so much more. And your focus needs to be on the right direction to do the right things in the right way. And this will take all your time, is the nature of creation, of building and creating stuff outwards, right? So, you know, I hope that's helpful. And it is. Big slog, right? And there's always, the spring is always coming. The winter will pass and spring will always come, Shaun.
The sticks and the rocks are compliments. One of the guys I helped who double-crossed me and tried to destroy my reputation, he put it online that he was coming to my house to get me last year. What did I do? I live streamed, "I am waiting for you." And he never showed up. I got about 2,000 new subscribers that day. So I'd like to thank that person. You could turn around the dark energy of these jealous people into light, because there's something wrong with these people's souls. Their own inner turmoil is what's causing them to project on you when they get jealous of your success. I'm always happy when I see my friends succeeding. My last words are, when it comes to success, don't go into overdrive. Because when I was a young person, I'd watched Wall Street, Greed is Good. My aunt was telling me, who was mentoring me, it's F or be F'd in the business world. I had to make $1 million by 30 or else I was going to kill myself. This is how mercenary I was. But when I went into jail and I was facing a 200-year sentence, and it crushed it out of me. They'd seized everything. I'd lost my girlfriend. I had the pain of losing all those material things I'd coveted my whole life. I went into this mental space where I was free from that attachment. And I wrote to my sister, I've got this unexpected feeling of happiness that I'm not thinking about all these material things anymore. I feel like a mad monk in a cave. Happiness is in your heart and what your thoughts make it. And you ultimately have control of that. This can be a prison or this can be heaven. So read the ancient philosophers, Epictetus, Aurelius. I've done 4 TED Talks now. Check those out. They're all full of positive, inspirational things that you can use in your everyday life. And huge thank you again to everyone who put comments in part 1 on Stephen's channel when I was at a low, when I was emotional over Wildman's death. I'll tell you guys now, I'm so happy. When I put my hand against Jen's belly and I feel that little hand pushing out, trying to come out right there, and I imagine I'm going to be looking into the eyes of my own child soon, I just feel so blessed and so, so happy in my life right now with what's going on, Stephen. So thank you for bringing me here today.
Look, it's wonderful and really big blessings to all you guys.
Cheers, brother. Thank you.
Forward.
Yes, nice one.
Thanks for coming on.
Cheers.